Okay, dear friends, let's have another attempt at this video. Excuse me. I'm using the microphone on my laptop at the moment. This is a simple setup. I've got my laptop over here with this camera connected to it. So we're going to try and do a little recording using this setup rather than using the main computer. Some time ago, let's turn that down. Some time ago I put a video on YouTube. It was about starting EVP and ITC, and on that video I showed you some of the results I'd got with both types of recordings or both types of capture. I'm just going to touch briefly on ITC, instrumental transcommunication, and a technique that I have been playing around with and seems to work moderately well. Let me explain what we have here. This is what I normally use. This is a Sony CCTV colour camera that I bought off the internet. It was about £27, not over expensive. Probably one of the reasons is they don't have really high resolution. It's good enough for closed circuit TV for security purposes. But it's a colour camera. I bought the lens separately, and this is a 25 millimeter lens. And at the moment the video output at the back is fed to a homemade lead which has got two outputs. They're just paralleled off. I'm only using one at the moment, and this phono to phono lead plugged into there comes to another lead coming out of the back of the television with a similar socket, so I'm just connecting the camera to the television. Now if anyone wants to try this and you don't have a composite video input that you're aware of on your television, you may have SCART sockets, the rectangular multi-pin sockets, and you can buy for a couple of pounds from Amazon or eBay something like this, a SCART adapter, little block, plug on one side to go into your TV. On the other side you've got four sockets actually. One of them is S-video, which you probably won't normally need, but there's a yellow socket which is a video socket, and a red and white which are audio, and on the side of the block will be a switch which is labelled in and out. Switch that to in, and you just connect your camera to the yellow socket and you've got video into your TV. Okay, now this is actually working at the moment, but let me explain why there's nothing on the television. On the front of the lens there are two rings. The one nearest the camera at the back is the focus ring, and the one at the front is an iris that you can close down to shut off light going into the sensor. At the moment it's fully closed, which is why the screen is black. The sensor in here is what's known as a CCD device, charge coupled device, and like all such devices they have what's called a noise floor. Excuse me. The noise floor is the point of minimum sensitivity. If the light coming in through the lens hitting the sensor is below that threshold, then the screen or any part of the screen will appear black. If the light goes above that threshold, then you'll start to get lighter patches or images on the screen. With this camera, what I like about it and what I do for the ITC, let me just say that I have the camera connected to the screen, and the screen displays what the camera sees. But what I actually do is I turn the iris down so it's level with, marginally above or below, that noise threshold, and so not all the light from the screen gets onto the sensor. Now I'm going to turn it fully open just for the moment because I want to show you what the camera is actually seeing. If I turn this up so we've got a light screen, and I'm going to use my ruler, car blowing its horn out there. I hope the laptop microphone is picking this up well enough because this is a temporary setup. If I put the ruler in front, you can see the image of the ruler at the back here. Okay, there. Okay, if I move the ruler to the point where the image just disappears off the screen, that is the right hand side of what the camera is seeing. If I move to the left, you can see it disappear over here. That is the left hand side of what the camera sees. So the camera is only seeing that bit, it's not seeing it all. And I can do it vertically as well. There is the top of the camera's field of view, and there is the bottom of the camera's field of view. So the camera is seeing a portion of the middle of the screen. But whatever that camera sees is displayed over the whole screen. Okay, so anything picked up here is then redisplayed bigger. What I do is I turn the iris down, close the iris on the camera, so we're at or round about that noise threshold, I can see the image over on the laptop, so I know this is in view. If I turn the iris down, you see the screen gets darker, slowly turn it down to the noise threshold, and it will start to cycle. There you are. The light bits are above the noise threshold, the dark bits are below the noise threshold, and if you just leave it, it will start to cycle. This is what we want. It is the video version of when you're doing EVP audio recordings. It can sometimes help if you have a background noise. So if you're using a recorder to do EVP and you want some discarnate person to talk to you, then you can actually maybe have a radio which is switched on but off the station, so you've got shh in the background, and a discarnate person using psychokinesis or mental pressure can tap or utilize that noise to produce what sounds like speech. Okay, not necessarily, if you're recording, not necessarily through the microphone. It might be induced directly into the electronics. I'm sure they have different ways of doing it. This is the equivalent visually. The camera and the screen are producing video noise, and this is noise. Occasionally it will go into these pulsating stroboscopic type images, and it will vary as you wait. I can play around with the iris, turn it down a little bit more. At some stage there will be enough light so that eventually it will just build up and up, and it will go into a cycle, and then it will probably drop back down again. This is what we want, noise on the screen. A discarnate person, a person who has lived in this world and passed on, who of course is still very much alive, can watch us, hear us. I don't want to get into the technicalities of it too much, but if your friends or relatives who have supposedly died, and in actual fact haven't, they've just gone into a different state of vibration and are probably far more alive than we are, they don't see the solid, liquid and gaseous part of you, but they see what is known as the astral part of you. They are living, many of them, in what is known as the astral realm, or on the astral plane, and you have an astral counterpart yourself, and they see your astral counterpart, so they can see us and they can actually hear us. Okay, there may be people in this room I can't see who are stood, big smile on their face, saying, "Can't see me, can you?" "No, I can't see you," but they can see and hear me, Anyway, this is what we do. We create noise. If the cycle sort of appears to stop, you can just open the iris a touch more, and it will help the cycle to keep going. Because this was a closed circuit TV security camera, and it's also intended to be used in low light levels, the red end of the visual spectrum is where the sensor has particular sensitivity. Excuse me, I've got a tickle in my throat. Oh dear, sorry about that. And so you will actually see red appearing on the screen appearing on the screen from time to time, because of the particular sensitivity of the sensor at the red end of the spectrum. You do get blue occasionally, but more often it's red. Okay, you are creating a video loop with video noise. That's all we need. Okay, what I then do, I've got two outputs on this lead. It's a homebrew lead, and I've got two outputs. I take another lead like this one from the other output, and I take it to this computer over here through this device, which is a video capture adapter, bought on Amazon. It's not very expensive. USB plug on one side, and the yellow plug on the other side is video in. So I just connect that to this, plug it in, and there is a program that came on the CD with the drivers for this adapter. The program is called GrabB, and it's a video and sound capture device. But some of these have sound inputs as well, you know, the red and white audio in. This one doesn't, and I particularly chose this because it's only video. It's S-video or composite video, and I use the composite video. This program actually uses the sound's default. Let's try again. The computer's default sound device, which in this case is the line input coming from the mixer over there, and I would use, can you see it now? You can't, it's out of frame, but there's a voice mic on a boom there, which I normally record through, and the program will pick that up, but I'm not actually using sound in this instance. I will set one of the little boxes in the recording program to 2 minutes of record time, and it will record for this. In fact, it doesn't record the whole screen, it records what the camera is seeing for 2 minutes. Okay, what I have done in the past, and I'm going to do again, is use a webcam, maybe sat on top of the camera here, and use the webcam to record that, so the webcam can see the whole screen, even though this camera only sees part of it. You see, because as it is at the moment, I would only record the middle bit that this camera is seeing, which really isn't enough, so I need to go back to using a webcam for capturing the whole screen. But I record 2 minutes, and once the video is saved on this computer, I close the capture program, and then I open another program, which is an open source, freely downloadable, very nicely written program, which is called Physmo, P-H-Y-S-M-O, Physmo, and it's a physical movement analysis program that can be useful to a lot of people in different fields. It's exactly what I need, because when I bring the program up, what it will ask me to do is load a video, so I just load in the clip that I've just recorded, the 2-minute long video clip. And what it then does when I run this program is it splits that video up into separate frames. A 2-minute video will produce about 3,600 frames. The frames are separated in time by about 30 milliseconds. Okay? I've done a 3-minute video before now, and it is split into about 5,400 frames. See, once the frames have been split up, the program will then give you a viewer so that you can see frame 1, and by tapping the right arrow on the keyboard, you can step next frame, next frame, next frame, and you step through and you see whether there's anything interesting on one of the frames. And many of the images that you will get, whether they're useful or not, will only appear on one frame. The next one, 30 milliseconds or so away, won't be there, or the one before. It appears on one frame. So when you're looking at it like this, come on, and it comes back to life, when you're looking at that, you won't necessarily see anything, because some of the images that are mixed in with that are so quick, your eye just won't respond to them. Subconsciously you may feel there's something there, but you consciously probably won't register it. So when you find a frame that's got an interesting image in it, I've got several that have got, you know, faces, you know, quite clear faces in that noise. You know, you can then tap or click a button at the bottom and save that image as a PNG. So you go through all the frames, 3,600 if you're doing a 2-minute video, and once you're satisfied you've got all the useful images, close the program, then go into maybe Windows Explorer or whatever you're using. If you that's actually running Linux. I'm recording this on a Linux platform on the laptop. Linux, it's gone out of my head. Oh God, Mint, Linux Mint 19 is what's running on there. I'm recording this with. So you go into your file manager and remove the images that you've saved into a safe folder, and then the folder where the separate frames have been stored by Fismo, you'll have twice the number of files in there frames. Like if there's 3,600 frames, you'll find there are 7,200 files in that folder. So if you're sure you've got everything you need, then you select them all, Control A, and then Shift Delete, all gone. Okay, and make sure you don't delete your video. And I put the video, the 2-minute video, and any frames I saved from it in a folder on their own, probably with today's date on, so I know when I recorded it, and I can see the images I captured from that video. So I keep them both. So that's basically what I do. The one thing that you have to be aware of doing anything like this, when you are inviting people who have passed on, discarnate people, who are still very much alive, and still very much the people, if there's someone you knew, a relative or friend, it's still the same person. They haven't changed very much, you know, except they're existing in a more subtle form, but it's still the same person. But there are some people out there that are not very friendly, and you don't want to attract them. So you've got to make sure you don't attract them. One way that people do sometimes, unfortunately, attract them is playing a very dangerous game, and it's known as the Ouija board or planchette. You do not ever, not ever play with an Ouija board or planchette. They, as my teacher Sir George King used to say, if you want to kill yourself, jump in front of a train, but do not play with the Ouija board or planchette. It's far more dangerous. Absolutely true. I was very disgusted when I watched that Most Haunted programme. I mean, Yvette Fielding, she's quite funny, but I think she's probably quite a nice lady. But I was very disgusted that they were using Ouija boards on Most Haunted. You know, definitely not the thing to do. You're encouraging people to dice with death. Don't play with a Ouija board. That cannot be stressed enough. It's dangerous, and I mean really dangerous. But if you're doing something like this, before I start the session, as I'm setting up, I'm not only mentally but verbally putting out the request. I'm setting up to do an ITC session. If there is any friendly person around who would like to cooperate with this experiment, please do. You know, I'd be pleased to have you cooperate with me, and any cooperation would be really, really appreciated. You know, be friendly towards them, show respect, show a bit of reverence, you know, a little bit of humility, not you know, like this person I mentioned in the Haunted programme, you know, often says, you know, throw a stone when you hear, and then she says, do it again. I tell her where to get off. You asked, I've done it. Don't ask again, you know, because you need a little bit of humility, you know. I don't mean false humility, but, you know, you're asking somebody to cooperate with you. Show a little respect for them, you know. They don't have to. So I make an invitation for friendly persons to cooperate with me, and over there out of frame I've actually got an altar. I do prayer sessions virtually every day, quite powerful, dare I say, prayer sessions, and I do on a regular basis bless this room. I go around each wall, the doors, and I actually physically bless them. I can assure you they are blessed. So it's not the sort of place that an unfriendly person might want to come, you know, and I do protective practices for myself. So you have to watch that point. But if you are of the frame of mind, I am looking for cooperation from friendly persons. Whether I know them or not, doesn't matter. If I did know them when they were alive in this world, fine. tell me who you were. I'd love to know it's someone who has passed on, and that I would know. But there are people out there who may take an interest in you, and you won't know who they are. You've never met them. They've never met you in this world, but they watch us and they can take an interest, and sometimes they will do something to help us. Some of them are referred to as spirit guides, you know. So stay away from the darker side, and be happy and think good thoughts while you're doing this, because unwanted people won't be attracted to you if you're thinking positive thoughts. So stay positive and they won't come near you. You'll be quite safe, I assure you. So there you go, this is how I do it, and I hope that if you want to do this, you have success. There's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing bad about it. It's just wanting to get communication with other people, and other positive, friendly people, and that can't be a bad thing. So if you want to know some of the results that I've got doing this, then look at my other video on YouTube, which is starting EVP and ITC. It's been on the internet quite a while now, and I think it's quite informative. Not only will you see this, the cycling on the screen, I show you a bit of that so you can see what the screen looks like, but I also show you some of the still images I've got, some of which you'll see are very clear. I've got two on that video where you actually see a person's face close up, and it's so clear, you know. So it can be done, and I'm still working on it. I'm still fine-tuning the system, and if anybody's got any constructive comments, please let me know, especially if they've got any ideas about how to capture moving images rather than just stills as I'm doing at the moment. Okay? So I wish you luck, blessings to all, and thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you.